It's a challenge, and in virtually every walk of life, we expect people to know what we know. That's not the case, because all of our experiences are different. What we do for our guys inside means so much more than you could ever imagine.
So I'm talking today to our TDCJ Director Sarah Bouse, who is in charge of our education programs at the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Welcome.
Thank you.
So we're talking today about the Texas Talent Grant, which is a recent grant that we got from the state, which is going to help benefit students who are about to be released or who are already released, so they can kind of adjust to the outside world. So tell me about the Texas Talent Grant that we just recently received. I know we got it about a month or so ago. I say a month or so ago. It was in...
we got word in early July.
Okay.
Early July. It has been a program goal for quite a while for us to start a formalized reentry program. We've worked with our guys getting out as much as we could, but so much of our focus was on those that are inside. And it's a whole different set of needs for someone who's getting out, particularly if they've been incarcerated for more than 5 or 10 years. How do you handle technology? How do you navigate certain things? I've listened to guys getting out who talked about the embarrassment of not knowing how to pump gas because of the changes to gas pumps. Or how do you these fancy new Coke machines where you push the buttons and they go back and forth. A grown man having to ask a child to show him how to get soda out of a machine. We take for granted that everyone knows what we know. It's not true.
Yeah.
And so having the opportunity to offer a reentry program that's more formalized, more structured, and more focused on helping our students transition from incarceration, and they don't even have to have been our students in this program. So we'll offer them an array of services, really focused at helping them finish what they may have started inside. I'm working with about 3 or 4 different guys right now that I expect to graduate in December and next May. They just need 2 or 3 classes, and they actually have a degree. Mm-hmm. And they're very focused on getting that finished, even if it means postponing some other things they'd like to do.
So explain to me what the New Beginnings program is, and we know how it helps them, but explain how it's going to work.
Really, it's a multifaceted program, because we're not, the transition from being incarcerated, whether it's just a few years or whether it's 20 plus years, it's not an easy transition. How do you present yourself? How do you put together that resume? How do you navigate the virtual world that most of us live in right now? Our students don't always come back to our service area. How do we connect them with other colleges? How do we make the degree plans match up between different institutions? It's a challenge, and sadly, and not just in academia, but in virtually every walk of life, we expect people to know what we know. That's not the case. It's rarely the case, because all of our experiences are different. So what we're going to be doing with this grant program, one, is helping do a workforce readiness preparation inside the units, giving them a list of resources, almost like a little booklet or you could call it their reentry Bible.
A game plan.
A game plan. Yeah. Here's some connections you need to make as soon as you're out. Here's some things that you need to do to change your records with your institution. We don't want it to say TDCJ on your transcript anymore. We want it to have your new contact information. How do we see what you still lack? Is it available close to you? Are you going to be in our service area? Do you have access to resources to be able to do an online to wrap up your final classes?
And right now, these are things that they kind of have to figure out on their own once they're released.
Exactly.
So how is and it's a partnership through Lee College. So how does that partnership, how is it going to work in those programs?
Well, we're the lead. Lee actually has a formalized reentry program. They have an incredible young man, and he is their reentry specialist. He actually spent some time inside himself, and he leads their program, and he goes in and does these regular seminars inside. So we're going to model after something they've been doing for a little while and bring that into the units that we serve. So we'll be doing some workforce readiness. We'll work with TDC's reentry officers that are in the units that help. Their role is to make sure there's housing set up, make sure they have a copy of their birth certificate, and make sure they have a copy of their Social Security card and all the documents. You think about the fact that if you don't have family resources that have supported you through your incarceration, it's pretty scary coming out. We've had students actually come to campus before that they had no access to their birth certificate. They had no access to any kind of the documentation they had to be able to get, say, their driver's license. And that can be a real challenge. So we'll work with the reentry division of TDCJ, and we'll do some programs inside. We'll also be working with some of the regional parole offices. So some of the people that are benefited by this grant may not have been our student inside, but we have a truck driving program they could go through. We have something else that we can get them some short-term education or training that can have them employed within 6 to 8 weeks. If we need to connect them with Workforce Solutions, the state of Texas actually will bond an individual going to work. They'll bond that person going to work. So, and it also gives tax credits for people who hire someone who has recently been released. So it's a real benefit to employers, but a lot of the people don't know that. Yeah. So that'll be part of our message as well.
Now, the research is pretty clear that the more educated a student is,
the more education, the less likely they are to go back to prison for whatever reason. Yes, nationwide, the most recent study was done just prior to the Second Chance Pell program coming out, and that study showed that 43% of the people who had at least 2 years of college while incarcerated, their recidivism rate dropped by 43%. In Texas, our numbers are actually higher than that because, sadly, 80 to 85% of the people who are incarcerated in the state of Texas never got their GED or their high school diploma. Sad, sad, sad. And it's just a fact of life in this state. For whatever reason, our dropout rates have been so high. And because of that, the lack of education, our incarceration rates have been some of the highest in the country.
Tell me more about the Second Chance Pell program. We were one of only 67 schools in the entire country that was chosen for this, I think in 2016.
That's correct. We started in the fall of 2016.
So tell me more about it and kind of how it works.
Well, because there is not internet access available inside, all of the FAFSAs, it's a Pell, an application. The grant is called a Pell. The application is called a FAFSA, F-A-F-S-A.
That is the financial aid application, which all students must fill out before they can get financial aid.
Correct. And the same rules applied for free world students as for incarcerated students. And so it was up to college staff to go in and give them paper and pencil copies to help give them instructions on how to fill them out. And it has worked pretty well. It's made a significant impact on the number of courses our students could take at a time. It's made a significant impact because they don't have to pay this grant back if they make good grades, if they don't drop their classes. It's a grant. Some people were against it because, why should they get free college? My kids didn't get free college. And I'm thinking, as a taxpayer, I would sure rather pay $3,000 or $4,000 to help someone get a degree than to spend $20,000 a year keeping them incarcerated.
Well, it's actually more fiscally responsible to do this because if the research shows that they are less likely to reoffend when they get out and they're educated, it's really going to save taxpayer money in the long run.
Exactly. If you even put the heart stuff aside. But one of the things about this whole program, not just those that'll be in the reentry piece, not just those that have gotten Second Chance Pell, but people who have been blessed by this program the last 57 plus years that Alvin Community College has been serving students inside the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. It doesn't impact just the individual. It's their families. It's their children. It's society. It's you and me. Number one, on the financial side, we're not having to pay to keep them locked up. And two, we don't have to be victims of crime. what a blessing. I think this program has more societal and individual impact than anything else we do. I mean, this college does an incredible work in this community, and anybody that has gone through our programs, most of them are real advocates, and they're part of the fan club. Mm-hmm. But what we do for our guys inside means so much more than you could ever imagine.
ACC was one of the first community colleges in Texas to offer education to inmates. You know, and I know you've been in this position for quite a while now. And tell me how this impacts you when you're in there every day working with these guys.
Because I've been in for so long, there's a lot of the guys that know me. If they've been incarcerated for a good while, I've been in this role I'm in my 12th year. And Miss Bouse, I mean, I usually keep a pad and a pen with me as I walk the halls because somebody needs to tell me something or wants to pass a message, or it's neat to know that you're having a positive impact, because not only does it help them when they get out, our program helps them inside, one, to have hope for things better, starting to look at life and the world in a way they'd never considered before. Many of these folks have been told they were dumb or stupid or never would amount to anything, and they're starting to see that that's not true. It doesn't have to be true. It's not being born into that kind of environment does not mean that they have to stay there or pass it on to their own children. It's pretty neat to walk the halls and to have people call out to you and thank you for what you're doing, or to ask, hey, can you help get me back in school? Or, oh, Miss Bouse, I've gotten through my major case clearance. Can I get back into class now? I want to finish. I promise I'll behave.
How many programs do we have in TDCJ? Or how many degree programs or certificate programs do we offer there? Right
now, we're serving on 4 units. I would imagine that with Pell going out of the pilot stage and into full force, TDC is actually wanting to expand program offerings. But we offer our business management program on 3 units. We offer our industrial design drafting program on a unit. We have our mental health addiction counseling program, which is a very popular program and makes a dynamic difference for a lot of folks who have struggled with drug and alcohol problems. We have computer technology program. We have a culinary arts program. And let me tell you, our automotive program is set to be a shining star, both for the college and for TDC programs. The Dean Parks and David Mustang have worked diligently through this pandemic and have really upgraded the equipment and the tools and the resources for that program, and it's over at the Jester 3 unit. We actually have just been given notice that we can start an AAS program.
I was just about to say, I think we just received a clearance to offer the level 2 certificate for the automotive
and
program.
The AAS degree. So it's a real plus for our students that want to do automotive. We also have a general studies program, which is part of the 2+2 program. We partner extremely well with both University of Houston Clear Lake. They're on the Ramsey unit as well. And then we also partner with A&M Central Texas campus. They have a BAAS in management. And so some of our management students actually roll into their BAAS program. And it's my understanding there's going to be more 4-year schools coming on board. So TDC is actually wanting us to expand our general studies and our AA and our AS programs inside to give those other colleges more first 2-year students.
Now, every year we have a commencement ceremony for these students out at the Stringfellow unit. Now, we haven't had it in 2 years now?
That's correct. We didn't get to do the one in 20, and we didn't get to do the one in 21. Just recently, Ms. Jefferson, who's actually going to be is the new director of the TDCJ programs, she and Ms. Toff went out to the units and took the pictures.
I actually took their portraits. Yes.
Yeah. Took pictures of the guys who had graduated during this time, because we normally would do cap and gown and pictures for them as well as the ceremony. But the COVID pandemic has really been a difficult on the units and for the guys inside. And I'm really proud of the ones that stuck with it and had the tenacity to do it, even though they were having to work independently and had the struggles. But many of them have done very well. I just think this is a great program. I'm proud of the institution for being the advocate for these folks. We talk about being inclusive, and we talk about making people feel welcome and helping get rid of barriers. And I hope the college will continue in that role, and that we'll open our doors more freely to those that really want to make a change in their lives and make a positive impact in our society. Thank you for this time.
Well, thank you for talking to us. I appreciate it. To learn about this program and more, visit alvincollege.edu.